esteem and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach. And then John 5:39. And after that, Ezekiel 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? So let's look at Ezekiel 39 now to finish that thing up. We still got genealogy to finish, priesthood to finish, a couple other chapters to finish. Whether it be Lamentations 4, Job 8, and 2 readings, Numbers 29, and Exodus 22. Alright, y'all. Now we talked about recently how Ezekiel 38 is the shadowing of Mashiach's return and us being in the land safely, and then Gog and Magog gathering up and Yah destroying them. So this is the continuation as this is leading to the preparation of New Jerusalem. So Ezekiel 39:1. He says, therefore, thou son of man, prophesy against Gog, and say, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Now notice it say the chief prince. So let's look at something with Meshach and Tubal. And then hold on, go to Genesis chapter 10, just so you can see where these people, who these people are that we talking about here and where they come from. Because Meshach is this is Japheth's grandson, and so is Tubal. That is your daddy. It's Genesis chapter 10. Lizzie, get your hat. Genesis what? 10:1. It says, now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood, the sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus, and the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Rephath, and Torgamah, and the sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families, and in their nations. So we say Gentiles a lot of time referring to all of them, but Gentiles specifically is referring to Japheth's descendants specifically. And back to Ezekiel 39 and verse 2. He said, I will turn thee back and leave, but the sixth part of thee will cause thee to come up from the north parts, and will bring thee upon the mountains of Yasharal. Now we have to establish where the mountains of Yasharal is, just for edification's sake. Micah chapter 4. Micah 4:1. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahuwah shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow into it. And many nations shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, and to the house of the Elohim of Jacob. He will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths, for the Torah shall go forth of Zion, and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. He shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off. Remember, the isles are far off. Let's sit back and see. Hold this Micah chapter 4 and go to what it is, Isaiah 49, so you can see that when he's talking about these isles. Because remember what you just read in Genesis chapter 10, where it said all the isles. I think it was in verse 4. Make sure, or verse 3. And that was in verse 5, actually. These were the isles of the Gentiles. So a lot of times when you see isles, it's referring to them. So when we look in Isaiah 49:1, it says, "Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken ye people from far. Yahuwah have called me from the womb, from the bowels of my mother have he made mention of my name." So he told the isles to listen. And you should remember when he said, from the bowels of my mother, this is your Matthew 1:21. You shall call his name Yahushua. You'll have a son. His name was mentioned from the bowels of his mother. He made mention of his name. He called him from the womb. This is also taking us back to the land being slain from the foundation of the world, because this is not Isaiah, who's been called from his mother's womb, nor is this the house of Yasharal, who Yahuwah have called from the womb and from the bowels of the mother of his mother made mention of his name, that he say the isles would hearken unto him and listen to him. Let's look at something as we talk about that while it's holding this microphone, because it said that they would come to the house of Yahuwah in the last days and they would hearken. Let's look at Acts chapter 2 verse 1. After Acts chapter 2 verse 1, Acts chapter 10. Acts 2:1, "And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all in one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from Shamahim as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, and began to speak with other tongues as the Ruach gave them utterance. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem devout men out of every nation under Shamahim. Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. They were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? And how we hear every man in our own tongue wherein we were born, Perinthians and Medes, and Elamites, and dwellers in Mesopotamia, and in Judea, and Cappadocia, and in Pontus, and in Asia, Phrygia, and Pamphylia, and Mizraim, and parts of Libya, and Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Yahudim, and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians, we do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of Elohim." So the isles are listening. How are the isles listening? Because faith come by hearing, and hearing come by the word. He said, "Listen, O isles, and hearken unto me." Now he's also saying the Gog and Magog to return, but they didn't want to hearken nor listen unto this man. Let's look at Acts chapter 10. Acts chapter 10. Verse 34. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, "Of a truth I perceive that Elohim is no respecter of persons, but in every nation he that fear him and work righteousness is accepted with him. The word which Elohim sent unto the children of Yasharal, preaching shalom by Yahushua HaMashiach, he is master of all. That word I say ye know, which was published throughout all Yehuda, and began from Galilee after the immersion which John preached." Now come over here to verse 44. He said, "While Peter yet spake," well, matter of fact, look at what he told him right here in verse 43 or 42. "And he commanded us to preach unto the people and to testify that it is he which was ordained of Elohim to be judge of quick and dead. To him give all the prophets witness, that through his name whosoever believe in him shall receive remission of sins. While Peter yet spake these words, the Ruach HaKodesh fell on them which heard the word." Because remember, he told the isles to hearken. "And they of the circumcision which believed were astonished, as many as came with Peter, because that on the Gentiles also was poured out the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh. For they heard them speak with tongues and magnify Elohim. Then answered Peter, Can any man forbid water that these should not be immersed, which have received the Ruach HaKodesh as well as we?" Hello? Hello?
Yeah, that's down.
Yeah. He said he commanded them to be immersed in the name of the Master. Then prayed they him to tarry certain days. Remember, Isaiah 49 said the isles had to hearken. So what we're just establishing is that When it's just a little, Ezekiel 38 and 39 is dealing with a separate incident outside of the beast. This is dealing with the Gentiles. This is Gog and Magog. These are Gentiles. These are the Isles, just like you just seen in Genesis 10. I'll show you where these people came from. They come from Japheth and what they're referred to. So when you see that saying, listen or hearken, O Isles, unto me, Yahuwah have mentioned my name from the womb, and from the bowels of my mother he called my name. We sitting back looking at this is referring to Japheth's sons. They all get an opportunity to hear. You see that Peter dropped the word on the Gentiles, and the Ruach was given unto them. A lot of people say these were Israelites, but the key thing what you'll miss in this statement is he said they of the circumcision were astonished. Now, if we go back and we look at this, let's just look at something the Master said. John 7 and 18. And after John 7 and 18, just Jeremiah chapter 9. Don't let nobody sit there and tell you that if you will see the Yasharal or if you to see the Yehuda, either way it go, you're going to be referred to as the circumcision. You should know the law, and the law would tell you that from Genesis 17. It said Abraham's seed had to be circumcised. Why would an Israelite be astonished? There's nowhere where you're going to see an Israelite be called a Gentile when they mention that circumcision. There's a difference. They're making a difference between the two. That's why he said they of the circumcision. That was not a custom of the Gentiles to be circumcised. If an Israelite chose not to be circumcised, they were just being disobedient. John 7 and 19 actually. Did not Moses give you the Torah, yet none of you keep the Torah? Why go ye about to kill me? The people answered and said, Thou hast a devil, who go about to kill thee? Yahushua answered and said unto them, I have done one work, and ye all marvel. Moses therefore gave unto you circumcision, not because it is of Moses, but of the fathers, and ye do on the Sabbath day circumcise a man. If a man on the Sabbath day receives circumcision, that the Torah of Moses should not be broken, are ye angry at me, because I have made a man every whit whole on the Shabbat day? Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. He said clearly, he say circumcision is of the fathers. You know that. You know what Genesis 17 say. That's of the fathers. That's not of Moses. So why would an Israelite be astonished that another Israelite is getting the Ruach HaKodesh if both of them are circumcised? But let's look at it in the law in Leviticus chapter 12 before we look at Jeremiah 9, so you can see that. Leviticus 12 and 1. And then we'll look at Luke chapter 2 real quick, just so you can see that the master was circumcised, so you can see this, so you can be able to know the difference between these two statements, because Gentiles is referring to Isles, those of the Isles or those of Japheth's seed. Circumcision refers to those of the house of Yasharal. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Yasharal, saying, If a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the day of separation for infirmity. She shall be unclean, and in the 8th day the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. So let's look in Luke chapter 2 real fast before we go to Jeremiah 9. Look at Luke 2 and 21. Matter of fact, Luke 2 and 18 actually. It says, But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. And the shepherds returned, esteeming and praising Elohim for all the things that they heard and seen, as it was told unto them. And when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcising of this child, his name was called Yahushua, which was so named of the Malachim before he was conceived in the womb. Just like Isaiah 49 say. Just like Isaiah 49 say. And when the days of her purification according to the Torah of Moses were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to Yahuwah. We didn't read the continuing of that in Leviticus 12, but you read that. That was 40 days. So after that 7 days of pure set apart time, there was another 33 days on top of that. That's in verse 4 of Leviticus 12. So you know where that's at. So you know, because we just had a conversation about this on a show that somebody had. It was impromptu on my part. And they were talking about how to properly keep the Sabbath. And they were referring to, is it lawful to have sex on the Sabbath? The book does not say that you cannot have sex on the Sabbath. You can have sex on the Sabbath, but then you know with the releasing of seminal fluid, you are unclean. Therefore, there are certain activities that you cannot partake in after that point. If there is a place that is sanctified for worship, then you can't come into that location. You know what I'm saying? Now, like where we gather up, that is not a place sanctified for worship. Therefore, those rules do not apply. Gathering up in somebody's home, those rules do not apply. But a place that has been sanctified for the specific purpose of worshiping the living Elohim, you can't come in there and do that. You can't partake in certain set apart things if you are in an unclean state. You cannot approach unto Elohim in an unclean state. Exodus chapter 19 shows you that when he told them, do not come at your wives before you come and meet me on this mountain. You see that with David with the shewbread when he say, well, I'll give you the shewbread. Just tell me you ain't touched no women. He said, we ain't touched no women in 3 days. So they were clean. You cannot approach to this man with no manner of uncleanliness upon you, because he will not receive you. He will reject you. Your Elohim is clean. And this is leading up to something else in Ezekiel 39. Y'all will not be able to get all of it. But you can't come to that man any kind of way. Because the dude kept saying, where does it say you can't have sex? We kept telling him, nowhere does it say that you can't have sex. But you can't approach this man, though. Like, why would you want to gather and present yourself before Elohim sullied and unclean? And not just sullied and unclean by reason of releasing bodily fluids, but what about being unclean by reason of your heart? Matter of fact, since I said that, and we're talking about her manner of purification, come to Isaiah chapter 1 while we hold this Luke 2 and Jeremiah chapter 9 and Ezekiel 39. Isaiah chapter 1. Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 16. Hold on. Make it 13. Hello? Make it 12.
Okay.
Well, how you doing?
Good.
They say, when you come to appear before me, who have required this at your hand to tread my courts? Bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moons and Shabbats, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting. Your new moons and your appointed feasts my soul hate. They are trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them. And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. And when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. This is another place that show you if you commit sin, this man say, I'm not even going to hear you. Your blood is on your hands. You're defiled. So if you sitting back and you saying, okay, I can have sex on the Sabbath, ain't nothing wrong with that. Don't spread forth your hands to that man. That man is not going to take that. You are defiled. You're going to have to get yourself clean. And I got something for that. Hold on. Praise the Lamb. Wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before my eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do well. Seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow. This man said you need to wash yourself and make yourself clean and put away the evil of your doing. Now, as we saying, because the brother brought this up, because a lot of people have a misconception when it says the marriage bed is undefiled. The marriage bed is undefiled because you're married. If you're committing adultery, that bed is defiled. All you got to do, let me just show it to you out the law. I know I'm mentioning a lot of things. We good in Isaiah chapter 1. I want you to get 2 Corinthians 7 and 1, and we still got Jeremiah chapter 9, and we still got Luke chapter 2. But let me show you what that means, how you can defile a bed. Because if the people are, oh, the married bed undefiled, so you can do this in the bed. That ain't what that's saying. That's your brain. That's the perversion of your thought process, because you want to do all manner of freaky things. Genesis 49 and 3. Listen to what he say now. He say, Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, the beginning of my strength, the excellency of my dignity, and the excellency of power, unstable as water. Thou shalt not excel, because thou went up to thy father's bed, then defiled thou it. He went up to my couch. He defiled this man's bed. How did he defile this man's bed? Because you should know this from the law. You ain't got no business laying with your father's wife. Let's look at Deuteronomy 27 real fast. Let me see if that's what I want. See, right now in some instances, I really be wanting y'all to really know what the law says, to understand the law and understand certain things that it says. Deuteronomy 27:20, right? It says, "Cursed be he that lie with his father's wife, because he uncovered his father's skirt. And all the people shall say, Amen." And then you can get your Leviticus 18. We don't have to read it right now, but you can get that and you can read that in the other locations where it talks about all the things you can do. Unlawful sexual relations. These things are defiled beds. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's sleeping with your sister, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? Taking two. Let me show you something in Leviticus 18. I told my homeboy this one time, long time ago. He looked at me stone cold crazy. And you'll have a Hebrew say, well, what about Jacob? He had two sisters. You know what I'm saying? You keep on thinking that. You go ahead and do it then. We'll just read some of this here, right? Since I'm just talking about it, I just can't let it slide. Leviticus 18:3. Well, 2. Speak unto the children of Yasharal and say unto them, I am Yahuwah your Elohim. After the doings of the land of Mizraim wherein you dwelt shall you not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan whither I bring you, ye shall not do. Neither shall you walk in their ordinances. You shall do my judgments and keep my ordinances to walk therein. I am Yahuwah your Elohim. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am Yahuwah. None of you shall approach to anyone that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am Yahuwah. The nakedness of thy father, the nakedness of thy mother thou shalt not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife thou shalt not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, or the daughter of thy mother, whether she be born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover. That means that if she were born out the country, you bet not touch her. The nakedness of thy son's daughter, or thy daughter's daughter, even the nakedness thou shalt not uncover, for theirs is thy own nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife's daughter, begotten of thy father, she is thy sister. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister, she is thy father's near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, for she is thy mother near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. Thou shalt not approach unto his wife, she is thine aunt. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law. She is thy son's wife. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter. Neither shalt thou take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are her near kinswomen. It is wickedness. Thou shalt not take a wife to her sister to vex her, or to uncover her nakedness besides the other in her lifetime. You can't marry two sisters at the same time. Thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is put apart for uncleanliness. Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife, to defile thyself with her. And as thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy Elohim. I am Yahuwah. Thou shalt not lie with mankind, as with womankind is an abomination. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself wherewith, neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down. It is confusion. Defile not yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. He said these other people did this stuff. Now come to Hebrews 13, since this all is where it comes from. He said these other people did this stuff. He said you bet not do it. You bet not do it. Now you heard all of these things. You can't marry none of these people. So if you marry none of these people, that bed is defiled. It doesn't matter if you're married. It doesn't matter if you go lay with your sister-in-law and then you go marry her. That bed is defiled. That's disgusting. That's wickedness. That's vile in his eyesight. He's not sliding with that. You just heard this man say all of these things defile the bed. If you're not married, per Deuteronomy 22 and 13 down, that bed is defiled. You already know if you commit adultery, that bed is defiled. You know if you're a whoremonger, that bed is defiled. That bed is not clean. That don't mean you can hit your wife in the booty, or you can blow booty, or eat vagina, or swallow penises. That's not what he's talking about. That does not. The text does not verify that. Hebrews 13 and 4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. But whoremongers and adulterers Elohim will judge. It's plain and simple. He say marriage is an honorable thing. It's an honorable thing. Come to 2 Corinthians 7 and 1. It's an honorable thing. But he said these whoremongers, he gonna judge them though. These adulterers, he gonna judge them though. You know what the judgment for that is. It's death. He's not going to put a judgment of death on your head if you're married, because he respects that. That's acceptable in his eyesight. But I will tell you this here. That's a major life decision. You sure better make sure you're making the right choice when you do it. It ain't nothing to rush. I don't see how people meet somebody and then talking about a year later you want to marry. I say take your time. That is a major life decision. It was mentioned under me, and that's about the only scenario I could go with, and that's if that you were already friends with that person, and then you got with them, and then you got married a short time after that. That is a major, major life decision. Not anything to take lightly, nor to move into lightly. 2 Corinthians 7:1. Having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and ruach, perfecting Kadash and the fear of Elohim. So you notice that he say, let us cleanse ourselves from the filthiness of the flesh and ruach. To cleanse yourself from the filthiness of the flesh and ruach, you have to cleanse yourself inwardly. You have to keep yourself clean, because you can't approach this man with no uncleanness on you. He's not going to receive you. Look at Ephesians 5, Galatians 5, if I'm not mistaken. Where do you say that? Is that Galatians 5? It's Ephesians 5, everybody. My apologies. What are you doing, Potty? Nobody can see you anyway. Ephesians 5:3. That's enough, Lizzie. Don't start that, y'all. Leave that chair alone, sir. Leave the chair alone before you injure yourself. But fornication and all uncleanliness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become Kadeshim. Now let me make sure you understand. There were times where you would be unclean by reason of wounds, and if you're married, by reason of releasing of bodily fluids. But you know what you're supposed to do. You know you're supposed to wash yourself or purify yourself or cleanse yourself. If you look in the law with Yahudim, cleanliness is of great paramount, because your Elohim is clean. He's sanctified. He's set apart. Therefore, you have to sanctify yourself and be set apart. That's why he told the people to wash their clothes and to wash themselves and to be clean before they approached unto him. Now you know the master told you to make sure you had your garments, and Jews say that we hate even a garment spotted by the flesh. So you're supposed to keep your garments or your flesh clean. Going back to what Paul mentioned when he told them wash their clothes before they approached him. You need to keep your clothes or your garment or your flesh clean before you approach to him. You need to wash your inward parts with water to be clean so he can receive you, because he told you wash you, make you clean. How does a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed according to thy word. And he said, you know, he sanctified it with the washing of water by the word, that it might be without spot, wrinkle, or blemish. So it's a physical thing and it's a spiritual thing, but you can't come to this man in an unclean state, and he will not dwell in any uncleanliness. Because remember what the master told you in Mark 7, it's not what goes in a man that defile him, but what comes out. This man will not dwell in any uncleanliness. He's not going to do it. Whether it be natural or whether it be spiritual. If your inward parts are filthy, that man cannot dwell in you. He will not dwell in you. Just like he will not dwell on this earth, and this earth is unclean. He's not going to do it, because he will have to consume everything in order for him to dwell there, which means all the inhabitants therein will be killed. He said, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. For this ye know, that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, have any inheritance in the kingdom of Mashiach and of Elohim. Let's look at that Jeremiah 9 to finish that point we were looking at Acts chapter 10. Because we definitely did not rotate into a lot of the things that we were talking about in I wanted to discuss in Ezekiel 39. But Jeremiah 9 and 31, and we'll finish Luke chapter 2. Not 9 and 31, my apologies, 9 and 25. Because, you know, the brother was real adamant about that, having sex on the Sabbath. And he was making it like, you could go look at Leviticus 22. And it tells you that the priests can't even touch the set apart things if their seed had come from them. And you know, the set apart things are in the temple. So that means they couldn't even enter into the house of Elohim to do their job if they had ejaculated. They weren't able to do so. And that's right there in Leviticus 22. I pulled the verse up, man, because you know what I'm saying? I be wanting y'all to know where this stuff at. I know I'm telling you where it's at. You can hear it and you can still go read it. Leviticus 22 and 4. Whatsoever of this, what man soever the seed of Aaron is a leper. My apologies. Let me read too. Speak unto Aaron and his sons that they shall separate themselves from the Kadesh things of the children of Yasharal, that they profane not my Kadesh name and those things which they hallow unto me. I am Yahuwah. Say unto them, whosoever he be of all your seed among your generations that go into the Kadesh things which the children of Yasharal hallow unto you, having his uncleanliness upon him, that soul shall be cut off from my presence. I am Yahuwah. That man say, if anybody got some uncleanliness and touch anything that is sanctified to him, they die. They die. Which is why you see Paul say, no unclean person, they can't inherit. What man soever of the seed of Aaron is a leper, or have a running issue, he shall not eat of the Kadesh things until he be clean. Whosoever touch anything that is unclean by the dead, or a man whose seed go from him. Whosoever touch any creeping thing where he may be made unclean, or a man of whom he may take uncleanliness, whatsoever uncleanliness he hath. The soul which have touched any such shall be unclean until even, and shall not eat of the Kadesh things, unless he wash his flesh with water. And when the sun is down, he shall be clean, and shall afterwards eat of the Kadesh things, because it is his food. Now, when you look at that, when the master died, he was unclean, because he was a dead body. He goes into the grave. Notice that he comes up out of the grave as the sun goes down, therefore making him clean. How was he clean? He was washed with living waters, or the Ruach HaKadosh. That's what made him clean, to be able to come out to be clean, or he wouldn't be able to approach. Now you also know he didn't approach for 40 days because he was in his time of purification. But we talked about that a long time ago. We don't want to get off the beaten path. Jeremiah 9:25 though. Behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that I will punish them which are circumcised with the uncircumcised. Egypt and Yehuda and Edom and the children of Ammon and Moab and all that dwell in the utmost corners that dwell in the wilderness. For all these nations are uncircumcised, and all the house of Yasharal are uncircumcised in the heart. See, he told them in Jeremiah to circumcise the foreskins of their heart. He said it in the law. So you notice that when he talking about us being uncircumcised, he talking about our hearts. But that Acts 10 said the circumcision were astonished. That upon the, why would they be astonished that their own people received the gift, knowing that Jeremiah said that that covenant and gift was promised to both houses? Nevertheless, let's finish this Luke chapter 2. See, we could spin off from two different things what we're talking about this evening. That's your circumcision and that's your cleanliness. Because your heart need to be circumcised, but you need to get clean. You need to clean, make sure that your body's clean. We say body clean, meaning that you approach to Yahuwah in a clean state. And most importantly, you need to make sure that your soul is clean. Because the master said, outwardly they appear righteous, but inwardly they're full of dead men bones and all manner of hypocrisy. They unclean on the inside. Therefore, he can't dwell in that. The Father's not dwelling anywhere where filth is. That's not happening. That's not happening. It's one of the reasons why he destroyed the temple, because they had defiled the land. There was no way he was going to allow that to continue to be there. He just wasn't going to let that happen. We're in verse 22 of Luke chapter 2. Do you have a headache, Potty? You don't have a headache. Go sit down, Potty. And when the days of her purification according to the Torah of Moses were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to Yahuwah. As it is written in the Torah of Yahuwah, every male that opened the womb shall be called Kadosh to Yahuwah. You should know that. We just talked about that. And to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the Torah of Yahuwah, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. Let's go back to Ezekiel 39. Ezekiel 39. Oh, we got to finish. We was in Micah 4. My apologies. We was in Micah 4. So when he says here in this Ezekiel 39 that he will bring them upon the mountains of Yasharal, we've established by looking at Micah chapter 4 that is in that is Jerusalem, that is Mount Zion. That is that mount. I want you to look at verse 3 in Micah chapter 4 though. And listen what he tells them. Listen. And he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, the isles. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of Yahuwah of hosts have spoken it. All the people will walk every one in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of Yahuwah Elohim forever and ever. This man just sat back and said that they will not make them afraid. Let's go back to Ezekiel 39. He also said that he would destroy all their weapons. Verse 3 of Ezekiel 39. This chapter is pretty long, not super long, but it is long, and I'm running short on time. And I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, and will cause thy arrows to fall out of thy right hand. Thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Yasharal, thou and all thy bands, and the people that is with thee. I will give thee unto ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beast of the field to be devoured. Thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, saith Yahuwah. And I will send a fire on Magog, and among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. Now, we talked about this the other day. Let's go back and look at Zechariah 14. He said he'll drop fire on those that dwell carelessly in the isles. Not just Gog and Magog, but those who dwell carelessly. I'm just going to pull up that word for carelessly. The word is batak, and it's securely or safely or boldly or confidence or with hope or assuredness. Remember what we talked about, all this come from. The nations were angry that they lose their power in their kingdoms and that they become the kingdoms of Yahuwah and of his anointed one. And this angers them. Let's look at it, Zechariah 14 again. We look at Zechariah 14 and 12. Excuse me. And this shall be the plague whereof Yahuwah will smite all the people that fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great torment from Yahuwah shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and the hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. And Yehudah also, listen now, shall fight at Jerusalem, and all the wealth of the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, of the camel, of the ass, of all the beasts that there shall be in these tents, as this plague. Now, knowing this is fire, we've already seen from and we're going to get Revelation 20 before we depart again, because they go hand in hand with 38 and 39 of the book of Ezekiel. You come back to Ezekiel 39. But he said in verse 6 that he would cause a fire to fall on Magog and all them that dwell carelessly. All of those who are confident and secure that they could come and attack this man and attack his people, and that there would be no retribution. Verse 7 of Ezekiel 39. So will I make my Kadesh name known in the midst of my people, Yasharal, and I will not let them pollute my Kadesh name anymore. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahuwah, the Kadesh one, and Yasharal. Behold, it is come, and it is done, saith Yahuwah Elohim. This is the day whereof I have spoken. And they that dwell in the cities of Yasharal shall go forth, and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows and the handstaves, and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years. Notice that we already read in Micah where he said that this would be done, that they would, and that you would not learn war anymore. There's a reason why you wouldn't learn war anymore. Let's go to Isaiah 25 and then Revelation 21. Before we read Isaiah 25, I want you to come over here to Psalms 46. Psalms 46 and 3. Make it Psalm 46 and 1. Elohim is our refuge and strength and a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear though the earth be removed. All right, hold on. Though we will not fear though the earth be removed, though the mountains be carried in the midst of the sea. Though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with swelling thereof. Selah, there is a river, the streams, wherever shall make glad the city of Elohim, the cottage place of the tabernacles of the Most High. Elohim is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. Elohim shall help her, and that right early. The heathen raged. That's what we're looking at in Ezekiel 39 and what we're looking at. They're raging. The kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice. The earth melted. We see that in Zechariah 14. He said in Ezekiel 39, we talked about it last week. Yahuwah of hosts is with us. The Elohim of Jacob is our refuge. Selah, come, behold the works of Yahuwah, what desolations he hath made in the earth. He make wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He brake the bow, and he cut the spear in sunder. He burned the chariot in the fire. Be still and know that I am Elohim. I will be exalted among the heathen, and will be exalted in the earth. So when we read in Ezekiel 39, the psalmist is telling you about it. Micah's telling you about it. That once he crashes Gog and Magog, that's the last war. And no one will learn war anymore. Why? Isaiah 25. After that, Revelation 21. Which this will go to son, because somebody asked this question on that show. And I'll give y'all a brief respite on it, since I'm talking about this right now, I suppose. Isaiah 25 and 8. He will swallow up death in victory, and Yahuwah Elohim will wipe away tears from off all faces, and the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth, for Yahuwah hath spoken it. And it shall be said in that day, lo, this is our Elohim, we have waited for him, and he will save us. This is Yahuwah, we have waited for him, we will be glad and rejoice in his salvation. He said we waited for him. We waited for him. And he sat back, he said he wiped away all tears, the rebuke and all that. Let's look at Revelation 21 though. Because what you see in Ezekiel 39 is the establishing and the preparation to get you to New Jerusalem, to where the Father dwells amongst us. 21. 21 and 1. And I saw a new Shamahim and a new Arats, for the first Shamahim and the first Arats were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, Yakanan, saw the Kadesh city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Elohim out of Shamahim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of Shamahim, saying, behold, the tabernacle of Elohim is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. And Elohim himself shall be with them, and he be their Elohim, and Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. There shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. When you look at Gog and Magog, when they come, and what we're looking at, because if you go back and you look at Revelation 20, we talk about this here, Satan being loosed, all of these things. It's because the new Shamahim and the new Arats, the new heaven and the new earth, hadn't came yet. See, the sorrow and the pain fleeing away is when a new heaven and a new earth come. I just got to go ahead and give it to you in the places that's at, for those of you who may not be aware. Isaiah 65 and 17, and then Isaiah 66. So this is a promise, and then we'll look at what Peter said about that promise. (65 and 13). Therefore thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, behold, my servant shall eat, but you shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but you shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but you shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but you shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of ruach. And you shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen, for Yahuwah Elohim shall slay thee, and call his servants by another name. Remember, it said the master will come and give you a name which no man knoweth, say he that give it to you. Also, Yahushua is returning with a new name. Because when he come to slay those who are against him, he said, as you see here in Isaiah, he said, I'm going to kill y'all, and I'm going to give my servants another name. When they be in that valley of Hinnom, in that place of mourning, weeping with gnashing of teeth, it's gonna be ugly. And remember, Yeshayahu talking to Yasharal, so he letting some of them know, oh, some of you niggas wicked, and I'ma kill you. That he who bless himself in the wrath shall bless himself in the Elohim of truth. He that swear in the wrath shall swear by the Elohim of truth, because the former troubles are forgotten, because they are hid from mine eyes. For behold, I create a new Shamahim and a new Arats, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall no more be heard in her, nor the voice of crying. Isaiah 66. He's sitting here telling us what stuff. It's not going to happen. And that's where you have to set your mind. That's what we were talking about with when the wicked say we have no hope. We will just go after the imagination of our evil heart. They don't have an expectation, like it said in Hebrew, and dwelling by saying they're pilgrims and strangers in the earth, and that they desire a city that is of Elohim, where he is not ashamed to be called their Elohim, and he is not ashamed to call you his people. This is what people's hearts are not pressed to. And this is another reason it said nothing abominable or defiled shall come into New Jerusalem, or no one who is not written the Lamb's book of life, per Revelation 21 and 27, and also Psalms 101. And I'll read that for you so y'all can know, since we talking about this here. It's clearly I'm going to have to continue this on Friday. But nevertheless, Isaiah 66 and 22. For as the new Shamahim and the new Arats which I will make shall remain before me, saith Yahuwah, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahuwah. From 1 month to the next month, from 1 week to the next week. That's what he tell. I don't know why dudes grab that and say, see, that means the Sabbath was on the new moon. That man's saying from month to month, week to week. All you got to do is look at Ezekiel 46. He tell you on the new moon, man, open the gates and man, the people going to come in. We already know from Zechariah 14, they say they got to come up yearly and worship Yahuwah of hosts during the Feast of Tabernacles. Y'all got to come holler at me, man. This man is making the express. How you going to be in this man's kingdom and he dwelling there and you ain't going to come holler at him? Because he going to be there. And if we have to go back and examine some of this stuff, and it looks like y'all willing, we finna head in that direction. Again, we touched this stuff briefly last summer. That man going to be there. Y'all's going to be there. He's going to be there. Not Yahushua. I'm talking about Yahuwah himself. He is going to be there. But there's certain things that have to be done before he can dwell on the earth. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 11. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought you to be in all Kadesh behavior and godliness, looking for the hasting unto the coming of the day of Elohim, wherein the Shamahim being on fire shall be dissolved, and elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for a new Shamahim and a new Arats, wherein dwell righteousness. Wherefore, beloved, seeing that you look for such things, be diligent that you may be found of him in shalom, without spot and blameless. So again, it's saying without spot, and take us back to cleanliness. Make sure you be found of him and be clean. Make sure that you ain't have no spots on your garments. Make sure you don't have no blame at your door. But then he said to look unto the promise. If you look at the promise, he talking about promising coming to dwell in a city where he is. Where there's no pain, no crying, no sorrow, no death, no war. No war, no nothing. Just rejoicing and joy in the place where he dwells at and where he placed his name at. Come on back to Ezekiel 39. I stopped at verse 10. He says, so that they take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forest. For they shall burn the weapons with fire, and they shall spoil those that spoiled them, and rob those that robbed them, saith Yahuwah Elohim. We already read where he sat back and said that these people would, that you would do that. But let's look at that. Let me get that Psalms 101 real quick. Just let me show you something, Psalm 101, and we'll read Revelation 21, 27. Because I don't want nobody to think I just make this stuff up. Psalm 101, verse 3. I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave unto me, shall not cleave to me. A froward heart shall depart from me. I will not know a wicked person. Whoso privily slander his neighbor, him will I cut off. Him that have a high look and a proud heart, excuse me, will I not suffer. My eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me. He that walk in a perfect way, he shall serve me. He that work deceit shall not dwell within my house. He that tell lies shall not tarry in my sight. I will early destroy all the wicked of the land, that I may cut off all wicked doers from the city of Yahuwah. Revelation 21 and 27. Now that's ugly right there. Niggas talking all that trash. Niggas say they ain't even got to believe. They ain't got to believe the New Testament. That man said clear as day in the Old Testament. You won't bring your stank butt in here. He told you that in another song, that he might get all to kill all the sinners out the earth. He told you that in Proverbs. You won't live here. Revelation 21 and 24. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. The kings of the Arats do bring their esteem and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the esteem and honor of the nations into it, and there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defile, neither whatsoever work abomination or make a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. You ain't coming in there making this place unclean, not with Father Yahuwah dwelling there, not with Abba Yahuwah there. You're going to live somewhere else. Burning. You won't live here. Ezekiel 39 though. Matter of fact, with that being said, I'm gonna stop that right there. I'm gonna stop that right there, because I don't even want to proceed into the next part of that, because it's getting too late. Hallelujah for Yahushua in the word though. Let me stop that right there. I'm gonna stop that.